Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. And I want to talk about what is a book. Last week I saw two separate videos from two different booktubers talking about different types of books. And these videos are very common. There are many different variations from many different people, but they're basically talking about how they like to read books and what they think books are. One person was talking about they don't like e-readers because they don't have the feel of a book and how impersonal it is to read on an e-reader and not have that tactile sensation of holding a physical book. Another booktuber mentioned not wanting to count audiobooks as really reading books because they felt it was different. And these conversations and these arguments have gone back and forth, as I said, numerous times. But I want to throw a little bit of a monkey wrench into this machine and go back in history. In the 13th century, sheep and cattle breeders wanted a papal decree saying that anything written on a paper document was invalid. And they did that mostly because, of course, they had an invested interest in parchment. And they wanted to breed those sheep and cattle to be used for parchment, so they didn't want any paper documents. Or, I presume, paper books. So let's take a little thought experiment and imagine a time shortly after the invention of the printing press by Gutenberg. And you have this abbot, and one of the young monks comes in with a printed book, and that abbot goes, "That's not a book." Abbot says it's not a book because it's not on parchment. It didn't take Brother Pulputius 6 months to copy out. And you can't feel that tactile vision of each individual letter drawn lovingly by the monk. And because it doesn't have that, it is not a book. This printed thing is something lesser, less important. You cannot read your Holy Bible on paper and print. It must be a manuscript. How many people can imagine that conversation happening hundreds of years ago? And of course, the younger monk would probably go to the abbot, "Yeah, but all the text is exactly the same, and it's so much easier, so much cheaper." And of course, the abbot's going to counter, and they're going to go away arguing about the difference between manuscripts and printed books. Now, this argument really has been settled that a printed book is a book. And I can just look at all this behind me. They're books, right? Well, they're not manuscripts. They were written by monks, so according to that old abbot, I don't have any books. As I said, that argument has been settled. No one is going to believe that a printed book is not a book. And even I'm calling it a book. I have no idea what that abbot would have called that printed thing on paper. So now we go back to the modern days, and we have people saying, holding up their books, saying, "This is the real book. Only this can be a book. That Kindle, that's not a book." And they'll give all their explanations of why they don't think that is a book. And really, the argument will depend on each person. Each person can come up with a couple different arguments why they think that the e-reader is not a book. And then we come to the audiobooks. Some people are going to come up with that same argument saying, no, it's not printed on a book. therefore it's not a book. And if you don't read it as a book, it doesn't count as reading. And as I see it, these people have the right to have a format that they like better. If they feel more comfortable just reading printed books, then that's okay. If they don't like the audiobook and having the words read to them and not consider that reading, well, I guess that's all right for them. But the ebook and the audiobook are still books. And over time, we will have other types of books. Maybe. We have right now Braille books. I don't have any Braille books, but a Braille book is every bit of a book as the printed book, as the ebook, as the audiobook. And for myself, I think having the most amount of types of books is the best solution. I like my printed books, I like my ebooks, I like my audiobooks. If I were to take the time, maybe I'd learn to like Braille books. And in the future, who knows what other formats will come back? Will people 200 years from now, reading different types, look back on us and kind of laugh? The way I'm sort of laughing at the old abbot with his manuscripts denying the printed book as a book. They'll look at us, maybe, with their digital books only, saying, wow, these people read printed books? How extravagant. Because I don't own a manuscript. I couldn't afford one of those things. I could not afford to hire monks to print out a book for me. And honestly, it'd be a beautiful work of art, but it wouldn't necessarily, as a text, be any better than any of the other formats. So that's what I'm throwing out there, is that all types of books are books and should be considered as books. And if you read more types, you have more opportunities to read more books. Anyway, keep on reading.